estate. This is estate actually, E-S-T-A-T, estate. The first estate, the second estate, and the third estate. These estates were distinguished from each other, differentiated from each other in terms of status, privilege, and restrictions too. Like third estate, which consisted of peasants, merchants. They had to face many restrictions also, right? So estates basically was system of stratification in European society, in feudal European society, right, in French society, right. The first estate consisted of clergy, right, which were further stratified into higher clergy such as uh, cardinals, such as archbishops, bishops, and abbots, higher clergy, right, and the lower clergy. Lower clergy referred as parish priest, right? Parish priest who were responsible for taking care of churchly activities, the activities of church. Parish priests were overworked and poverty ridden, right? Higher clergy lived the life of luxury, right? They give little attention to religion or religious matters, right? Many of the higher clergy indulged or involved in politics also, right? They lived the life of luxury and wastrels actually, right? They mostly, higher clergy mostly wasted their time in activities like gambling, right, drinking, etc. So this was like the condition of first state, right? The aspect, social aspect, that is state. First state, clergy, higher clergy, consisted of higher clergy, stratified into higher clergy and lower clergy, right? Cardinals, archbishops, bishops, right, abbots, they consisted of higher clergy, parish priest, lower clergy, right? The second estate consisted of nobility, right? And in history also you would have studied, nobility also was further stratified into nobility, nobles of sword and nobles of robes, right? Nobles of swords were like khandani zamindars, right? Like those who inherited nobility, and nobles of robes were basically recruited on the basis of knowledge. They did not get the title of noble from birth, right? Like magistrates, judges, right? They were also referred as nobles, right? They belonged to second estate, but they did not inherit this title. They attained this title, right? They were liberals also, right? Third estate consisted of the people in all other people apart from these clergy and nobles in the society, right? It included the priests, the merchants, it included the craftsmen, right, artisans, right, workers, etc., right? All these belong to third estate. And the third estate worked for day and night. They were poverty ridden, stricken, right? They had to pay many taxes, right? And their condition was hand to mouth, right? Like above all these three estates, there was a monarch, right? And the monarch was least concerned about the third estate and maintained good relation with the above two estates, like first estate and second estate, right? Merchants and the new middle class which had emerged after commercial revolution also belonged to the third estate. As compared to the peasants, as compared to the workers, as compared to the artisans, craftsmen, right? The condition of the merchants or the new middle class, right, which also referred in Marxian term as bourgeois, which comprised of bankers, lawyers, manufacturers, right, merchants, their condition was better than that of peasants. As compared to peasants, the condition of merchants, bankers, manufacturers, lawyers, right, was better, right, was much better actually, right. But this middle class also, despite having economic power, economically well off, and who over the period of time became more and more economic well off, right, had no authority, no political authority. They had no much say in the matters of, polity or in the matters of state, right. They were restricted, they were limited to trade and commerce, right. They had no power in spheres of the state. Although this middle class, like merchants, bankers, they used to deal in international businesses, right? But the decision, they had no say in matters of decision related to war, overseas wars, right? And overseas war actually hurt this, class greatly, right. Although this class, earned also over the period of time, right, became economically well off, but they had no say in the political matters, right. Their condition was better, right, but they were not equal to clergy or nobility, right. In the social aspect, one remarkable point was the clergy and nobility, right, the nobles, they hardly constituted 2% of the population, but they owned 35% to 40% of the land resources, right. And the peasants, who formed 80% of the population, hardly owned 30% of the land. So there was inequality, there was, visible inequality, or there was high inequality in the society, right, in terms of land ownership, right. The peasantry had to work hard, right, and they were overburdened with the taxes. They had to pay tax to church, they had to pay tax to feudal lords, right, they had to pay income tax, poll tax, right, land tax. So the peasantry, or the third estate, right, which constituted of majorly, the peasantry, the working population, they were, like artisans, craftsmen, they were overburdened by the taxes and they were pauperized, they were poor, right. Their condition, did not improve with commercial revolution. They were carrying the burden of, right, the whole society, right, the first two estates, particularly the first two estates, right. So